So I'm not going to do any like editing or anything to this video. I'm just going to kind of talk because I feel like I don't know. I feel like it needs to be discussed about David Lynch. I was sitting down, I was just sitting down screenwriting, and I got a text from one of my buddies. He said David Lynch died, and I was like, "What?" And I saw that David Lynch did pass away. I normally wouldn't make a video like this, but I just think it's almost impossible given like how inspirational David Lynch has been, not only to myself but many other filmmakers. I've seen David Lynch's films countless times. Watched Twin Peaks and absolutely loved that show, which we'll get to in a second. Took his master class. Even dedicated my short films in to David Lynch at the very end. So to say that David Lynch didn't like have a special place in my heart would just be a complete, just would be a lie. Um, and I wouldn't be the filmmaker that I am today without him. I mean, he really is the guy that's inspired me to just do whatever it is I want to do. You know, because preserving your vision and the art is the main thing. Because if not, then you're basically, I mean, what's the point of doing it in the first place? I mean, yeah, of course, financial stuff matters, like making your box office back, of course, but life is short, and you put so much time in a project, you want to do it the way you want to do it, and that's the way David Lynch did do it. I mean, I guess besides Dune, um, but yeah, it's so devastating. I mean, one thing that I recently did with David Lynch not long ago was I went through a lot of his short films and watched them, and I don't know, it was a very bizarre journey. I've not loved everything that David Lynch has done, but Lynch does what Lynch does, um, and yeah, it just you know. Time is going to catch up with everybody. I mean, David Lynch was not young by any means. I think the thing that is just so heartbreaking about it is he really was one of those very unique visionaries who, I mean, we're never going to get another film from. I mean, I figured we'd never get another film from him to begin with, but I mean, if you think of like just his short films and his projects and even Twin Peaks, I mean, I was one that was holding off on a season 4 of Twin Peaks. I mean, um, I wanted it so bad because the ending, you just have to watch it. But I guess it's just Lynch isn't here, and it's sad. Like, it genuinely is sad because you have all these people that's never met the guy. I mean, it some people would say it's very crazy to be so upset about a celebrity dying. I would even argue that Lynch really never made it out of the mainstream. I mean, it is a lot of cinephiles that really do love him, but even for a director that never made a huge box office return, somebody that never made those blockbuster levels of revenue like somebody like a Fincher or a Kubrick or a Nolan or Tarantino did, everybody still knows who David Lynch is, and it part of the reason why is because he did it his way, and he's just this mythological creature that in the film industry. And I don't know, I'm sad and I'm kind of venting because I don't know, it's extremely just heartbreaking to say the least. Um, my first experience that I had with David Lynch was Twin Peaks. That was the first thing that I had ever watched from him, and I watched that when I think I was around 18. Um, yeah, 18, which was a decade ago almost. And I remember specifically loving that show so much that I was still on season 1, and I went to work, and I ended up leaving work early because I wanted to watch the next episode. So I left work, went to Panda Express, got food, and just kept watching Twin Peaks, and it inspired me so much to work on another project. It was a book that I had wrote called I Wish I Never Knew, and I traveled across the country for inspiration while I was writing it, and it was a very important time in my life. You can't find the book anymore because it sucked, but it was just a 700-page mess. But it inspired me, and I thought about Twin Peaks while I was doing that. Um, and then whenever I actually got into feature filmmaking, I started getting into his films more, like with Eraserhead. I loved it. I mean, just right off the bat, thought it was an absolute masterpiece. And then Elephant Man, I absolutely adored. It's probably my wife's favorite David Lynch film. I wasn't really necessarily the biggest fan of Dune. That was a miss, I think. Blue Velvet, I reevaluated that recently, and I still really enjoy the film, but it's not my favorite. I'd give it like a 3-star, 3.5. I mean, it's still a really good film if I was to give stuff ratings. And then what else? What came after that? Pretty sure it was Twin Peaks, which I would give a 10. Twin Peaks is just masterful, even with The Return and Fire Walk with Me. Wild at Heart, enjoy that. Not as much as other people. The Straight Story, I think, is masterful. I love The Straight Story. Lost Highway I struggle with a little bit, but I'm going to revisit that soon. Mulholland Drive, literal masterpiece. And Inland Empire is what it is. That film is so weird. 3 hours of just what he wanted to do. Looking back at it, I don't necessarily love Inland Empire, but I mean, you got to admire it. And that's what David Lynch sort of showed me. Was he was a director that he helped me admire directors that even if I didn't like their work, I still admired it just because it was made and because they completed their vision, which is how it should be. I mean, I would have never have made Pesadilla the way that it was if it wasn't for him. I mean, he really just inspired me to be dreamy, and he inspired so many other people to be dreamy. And it's just a sad situation. I don't mean to like beat a dead horse or anything. It's more so just a venting video, and I even debated on making this, but I wanted to because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. Like when I think of my top 5 favorite directors of all time, I mean, it's Kubrick, Lars von Trier, David Lynch, David Fincher, and Andrei Tarkovsky. Andrei's Vegan Stev. I've got a really big admiration for Gaspar Noé right now. But David Lynch was up there, like close to the top. So yeah, I don't know. It's sad, but yeah. I mean, if you've never heard of David Lynch or if you've never watched any of his films, you definitely should. He might change your life. Seriously, he might change your life. Everything I've ever done, I mean, I gotta give it to him. I mean, it's a lot of people too. So, but yeah. Anyway, so rest in peace, David Lynch, and just give his stuff a watch. Might be worth it. Also, I don't want to like promote any of my stuff, but if you do want to check out my short film Zen, I did, I dedicated it to David Lynch. So, yeah, you might enjoy it. But anyway, take it easy, and I'll see you next time.